Good evening, everyone. Nella and I deeply regret that we can't be with you there tonight, but through the magic of technology, we kind of are. It's good, except for the fact that my first line writing is backwards, I think, as far as you're reading it. But Renella sends her love too, all the way from Nashville, where I am not working on my country music career. We're having some strategic planning meetings with Reboot out here, and we'll be back in a few days. Unfortunately, graduation fits right in the middle of it. We first of all want to thank all the awesome men who led you through the courses during this rotation. Gordon Gill and Sam Kamkar and John Moomey and Tim Ray and Nick Ciabarelli and Joseph Washburn. And don't forget B. Peterson, who took care of all the meals and the meeting logistics, and we really appreciate them. I think they all deserve a round of applause. So let's hear it. Well, let's hear it now. Come on now, let's hear it. Keep it up. Yeah. Okay, that's enough. Let's get back to work here. And of course, we also want to give a very warm thank you to Eugene First Baptist Church for allowing us to meet here. They've been incredibly supportive all the way through. And in fact, all the expenses of this course, all the meals, all the materials, my chauffeur-driven limousine bringing me here every time, those were covered completely by First Baptist Church. And so we really appreciate them backing us up this way. But now it's time to graduate. You have all completed the requirements necessary to graduate from the Reboot and Firstline courses. You worked through all your field guides, lesson by lessons. You've participated in the discussions. You've done the challenges. You've learned from each other. You've learned from the Spirit of God and from the Bible. And you've experienced the beginnings of transformational healing. There are no more blanks in your field guides to try to fill in, unless maybe you skipped a few here and there. So why don't we just give you your diplomas and your graduation t-shirts and send you home? Well, the reason is because we want to make a fuss. This graduation ceremony is kind of a fuss. Why take the time for it? Two reasons. Number one, remembering what is past. And number two, shifting gears for what's ahead. First of all, remembering the past. You know, in the Bible, during the days when Israel was escaping from Egypt and was getting established in the land that God had given them, God and the leaders of the nation frequently called for memorial monuments to be established after some memorable event just happened. A great example of this is found in Joshua 3 and 4, when the nation of Israel crossed over into Canaan for the first time. They were changing from an escape and refugee operation to a military campaign. Israel was moving from east to west at this time. The promised land was straight ahead, but the Jordan River, unfortunately, was in the way. So God directed the priests to put the Ark of the Covenant on their shoulders and start walking down into the flooding river. Now, as soon as their feet got wet, the waters of the Jordan, says in the Bible, stood and rose up in one heap a great distance upstream. Before long, the Jordan stopped flowing, and the priests took that ark down into the bottom of the middle of the river, and the entire nation crossed over on dry land opposite Jericho. Then God commanded them to do a strange thing. He told Joshua to appoint 12 men, one from each of the 12 tribes of Israel, and get them to go back down to the middle of the river where the priests were still standing there with the ark on their shoulders. And each one of these 12 men was to grab a boulder, put it on their shoulder, take it back up to the west side of the river, and construct a monument there. Again, why all the fuss? Wasn't it the objective to simply get across the Jordan and start occupying the land? Mission accomplished. Let's move on. Well, apparently, God doesn't want his people to forget the miraculous events that he has done for him. And so for them. So he commanded a little fussing here. He had them construct this memorial remembrance from the river bottom stones. And then Joshua made a speech. And here's part of it. When your children ask their fathers in time to come, saying, "What are these stones?" then you shall inform your children, saying, "Israel crossed this Jordan on dry ground. For the Lord your God dried up the waters of the Jordan before you until you had crossed, just as the Lord your God had done to the Red Sea, which he dried up before us until we had crossed. that all the peoples of the earth may know that the hand of the Lord is mighty, so that you may reverence the Lord your God forever. So the fathers were instructed to tell their sons and their grandsons, hey, you see this pile of rocks right here? Do you know they used to be in the bottom of that river over there? Let me tell you how they got from there to here. You see, this crossing of the Jordan was a momentous occasion, and remembering it, talking about it, making sure that the future generations knew about it was very important for the continuing faith and development of the nation of Israel. We're still talking about it 3,500 years later. Why? Because it was memorialized in that stone monument and also in the Bible, which we still have here today. We remember it because God decided to make a fuss about it. When people see your Reboot or Firstline certificate up on your wall in your office or someplace, or they see your graduate t-shirt that you might be wearing, they might ask you, what's this about? And you can tell them about your experience with this cohort of men and women and how God led you together through some very deep waters regarding your trauma. Well, the second reason we're making all this fuss tonight has to do with shifting gears for the future. Israel's crossing of the Jordan wasn't the end of their journey. In many ways, it was the foundation of a whole new era of existence for them. And it wasn't an easy era. There'd be many battles fought. Many people would die, unfamiliar challenges, and additional sacrifices they were going to have to make. But this miracle of the Jordan River gave them the faith and the momentum to believe God for that next phase. In the same way, many miraculous things have occurred in your lives during these 13 weeks with Reboot and Firstline. But it's only the beginning. God has more for you, as does your enemy. It's not time for you to hang up your sword and shield and say, done, time to relax. The next event for Israel and for Joshua was the Battle of Jericho. I wonder what's next for you. It's not time to let down. At the end of this ceremony today, we don't want you to just fade away and go back to business as usual. Today is a launch pad. Today is an acknowledgement of what you've accomplished and what God has accomplished in you, but it's also an adjustment of trajectory for you. Today is an opportunity for you to be affirmed in your achievement, but it's also an opportunity to springboard into deeper commitments, maintain your current momentum, draw from what you've learned, and help other veterans and first responders and their families to be healed. You may want to go through the Reboot Firstline course again. You're welcome to do so. You undoubtedly will get even more if you go through it a second time. You may want to take on a leadership role in the next rotation. You may decide you want to sign up for the next Leadership Training Academy and eventually lead a group yourself. No matter what, you'll want to conserve the fruit that was produced in you during this course. The best way to do that is to give it away. Pass on what you've learned. Encourage others with the same comfort that you received from God. Keep your roots in good soil. And always remember that God is your healer. No matter what dark valleys you may walk through in the future, He'll be walking right beside you. Well, thanks for listening, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of the evening. We're jealous we can't be there with you. Renella sends her love, and so do I. We'll see you again soon, I hope. God bless.